I know. We jumped ship. Abandoned the team.
We actually had people comment on some of the last videos, like, have you finished YouTube? What's happened? Are you okay? Like, for us on Instagram, dude.
The heat's gone to our head. We're just so hot. No, we have been consumed.
We have been.
With Poshmark. We have been all consumed. And we are out of our Poshmark bubble. We're not. We love Poshmark still. But we are...
Hashtag Shoreditch. See us there.
We will be speaking at the Shoreditch event, which is welcome. Anyone is welcome. It's a free event.
You have to book your tickets through Eventbrite, I think.
Yes, Eventbrite, but it is completely free.
We'll put the link. We'll put the link in the description, actually.
Yes, cool. And we'll be doing fireside interviews, and it'd just be really, really fun to see everyone there. Side note: we're at a boot sale in this video. This is from about a week ago. Don't tell anyone. But it doesn't matter. We move on.
Why do you have to let the cat out of the bag?
We will be hitting more boot sales this weekend. So don't worry. We're back in the boot sales. It did rain last weekend though, to be fair.
Yeah, like there wasn't a huge amount of sun on the Sunday.
No.
Sun on the Sunday, who knew? This was a older, almost vintage at this point, free gift from a Ralph Lauren perfume or aftershave set. Ooh. You can see the pony there.
Yeah.
I actually had one of these in blue from I think it's probably early 2000s.
Yeah.
And I thought, for a couple of £, it's been sealed. It's kind of a piece which you don't see every day.
Yeah.
And they wanted £20.
Oh.
That was a problem.
You can tell if something is perfumes. There's normally especially on Ralph's, there's normally a little white label on the inner lining. And
very rarely you'd get it in plastic if it was an actual store-bought purchase.
But I'm saying if you didn't have the plastic, then how are you to know? Anything that says, I get it a lot actually sent into our DMs, anything that says perfumes or fragrances would have been a free gift.
This was a vibe too. It was mid-2000s, early 2000s, diesel backpack. But the big D is back in.
Yeah, the big D.
Excuse the pun. But we've mentioned it countless times before, but the belts,
that's the D.
That's the D, isn't it? I think they'll have just put that logo out as the new big belt, and on a lot of denim stuff too.
The belt skirt.
Yeah, the belt skirt. That's what I'm
famous
talking about. Maybe I'll put a
skirt.
picture up just to show you what we're talking about. Otherwise, you think we're mental.
But yeah, diesel stuff is coming back around. When I say diesel stuff, I very specifically mean that D, that early 2000s, the low-rise jeans, not so much the graphic T-shirts and things like that. The more early 2000s stuff.
Bethany spotted this. That's what she was just doing. She looked at it. But this was a Henry the Hoover cap, and she remarked that someone had said on one of their videos that these were worth good money. The difference was, I asked, and I was expecting for it to be a couple of £. It wasn't. The guy wanted £20 because apparently it was 35 online. However, he was mistaken. That was a kid's hat.
You tell him, Austin.
I'm not telling him. I didn't tell him because I didn't know at the time. But I didn't realise till I held it up it was a kid's hat. Whereas it's the adult's hat, which actually go for 35, 40. The kids' hats still go for a couple of quid, but it's not the same money in it.
It's not really our game, but it's worth looking out for if you're an everything reseller. Is Henry the Hoover hats.
Henrietta's the pink one, correct?
Henrietta.
Okay.
I don't know, actually. I never had one.
I haven't either. I'm just asking.
Just a cute pink one.
There were quite a few nice things on this rail. There was some Carhartt. There were some other designer brands. And when I actually asked the chap, this Carhartt wasn't the classic on the chest logo. It was kind of the lower kind of to the hem logo, which is kind of not as
the whip stuff.
Yeah, the WIP stuff. Yeah, it's not as popular.
Yes.
And it's not as expensive. Well, it can be expensive, but it's not as expensive as the original workwear. That's what I'm trying to say.
The most popular stuff is the vintage and worn workwear, chore-wear jackets.
I agree.
Cargo pants, that kind of thing.
And when I asked, I think he wanted it was about £30 for a hoodie.
I think it was 20 for the hoodies. And then there was a more complex hoodie that he wanted a bit more. It had it was like a fleece one.
Yeah, that's what I was
And then I was on the floor and he had T-shirts, but the T-shirts all had you can see me looking. It has yellow stains to the collar. I'm always a bit dubious about yellow stains to the collar because that just says to me sweat, doesn't it?
No, do you know what? Sometimes you don't know. It could just need a good wash. But to be honest
with you, they were £20 each.
I was just going to say at that price, I can't take the chance. So for a T-shirt, and realistically, what is a Carhartt T-shirt going to go for? Even if it's pristine, used, pre-owned, 25, 30 quid maybe.
They're not much more than that retail.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, you got to make an educated decision at that point.
But it's nice to see these things come into boot sales and sort of younger people and sort of doing boot sales, if that makes sense.
Also had a really cool car. It was a Polestar. It's kind of like it's the only thing which in recent years has kind of gone against Tesla. Polestar's been out for quite a while actually, but it was kind of a cool electric car anyway. So the whole guy was like into his what?
I didn't know what you were talking about then. I was like, you were looking at a Polestar car.
No, his car, the guy.
Oh, he was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a cool car.
Yeah.
If you're into electric cars, I guess. Maybe you aren't, in which case you hate it and you are loving the gas guzzlers.
But Carhartt's a great brand to look out for if you are boots sailing.
Indeed. I thought I'd found a dreamer right by here.
Oh.
Gorillas.
Yeah.
Anything Gorillas, like if you can find vintage Gorillas t-shirts and any kind of merch goes like crazy. This was like a more recent piece, but it was a child's piece as well. So once again, just not a huge amount in it if it regards a resale.
Gorillas
as in the band, I think Damon Albarn, isn't it, from Blur?
I 100% know who Gorillas is. I was just reminiscing. I was thinking, Gorillas, good times.
There was a pair of glasses on this stall, just to the right-hand side, I think it is. Yeah, there they are. Okay, I picked them up. They're from a brand called Parasol.
Persol.
I'm going to
We'll
say.
put the logo up. Persol.
We will.
P-E-R.
But not as in the washing powder, not Persol.
Not Persol. Persol.
And basically, I'd seen these a few times and never thought they were that expensive. But someone online, I can't remember who it was, a celebrity, wore them and kind of endorsed them recently. And they did a whole ad campaign. There you go. The exact shades were £350. So we left them. We went back. Bethany checked the price in. So it was $350. I raced back as fast as Austin will race, and as you can see, that's not very fast.
It's busy.
It was busy. It was people heavy for sure. They were still there. I asked how much they wanted, and they wanted it was a fair price. That's all I'll say. It was a very, very fair price. Picked them up, and what a scoop!
What a scoop! I actually forgot we purchased them, so. I know, it's terrible behaviour.
I think, once again, I'm going to let you guys know, some of the angles in this video are off. I was kind of seeing how it was with the bag strap, and I wasn't really used to it as opposed to on my chest mount.
I think it's quite dynamic.
So it's a nice view, but the problem is, at this point, I'm not aware that I'm not showing the camera. No. In a moment, though, I will. I think I do a close-up of the shade so you can actually see.
I think I just ordered Austin a backpack strap camera holder, whereas he made this one.
Well, basically, I strapped my chest mount. You can adjust it and do this, that, and the other.
To be honest, so I think I'm not talking on anyone else's business, but I find for us, I find the strap mount quite intrusive. Like in terms of it's quite an intimidating thing.
I think people, yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, we've been using it for like over a year now, and we've probably been asked maybe a handful of times, what are we doing? And even then, it's not necessarily an aggressive or harsh thing, but I think people look at you and they treat you a certain way. Whereas on the side of the backpack, for example, I always wear a backpack anyway. It's just less of a thing.
And just to clarify, it's not any more incognito. We're not trying to hide it or anything like that. You can still see it.
It's also really annoying. If anyone wears a chest mount, these are the glasses, by the way.
Here we go. There you go. This is a signature on the side of the arm. You can see their signature hinge logo.
It's kind of like a wraparound metal piece, basically.
Yeah, it almost looks like a cross.
I will put a picture in. It reminded me of Chrome Hearts, and that's actually the Chrome Hearts logo is like a kind of a swooping across. I'll put that up here as well. If you ever see anything from Chrome Hearts, which, is very, very, very expensive, I pick it up too. But that's what reminded me of the brand. So I thought, you know what, check it out. Going back to what I was going to say, if anyone wears a chest mount, they can be just quite restricting as well. I'm a bigger guy. I don't need to have like a skin tight chest mount, over my t-shirt. I just don't.
This is cool. So this is a Mars Attacks, the film, which I know is very popular. I haven't seen it. Don't at me.
I'll put a picture here.
But this is a promo t-shirt from when the movie came out. I think this one's dated 1996. I think the movie came out 1997 off the top of my head.
It's the VHS. Is it not VHS? It's the VHS promo shirt, actually.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
It's dated and single stitchified, if that makes sense. These are going very confidently on multi-platforms for about £100.
Yep.
It's black with the logo on the front, and then underneath it has the date and the production company.
I will show you, I promise, in a moment.
Lovely. It's in quite good condition. Light vintage fade, as I would say.
Show me. It's on a vintage tag, obviously. Yeah, on a vintage tag. 1997. Mars Attacks.
I think it came out.
It's the home video release. That's what it is. That's what I was talking about.
Home video release. Golly gosh. Anyway, resale.
I don't think it was single stitch, actually. You say it was,
Oh,
I don't think it was
okay.
single stitch. No, it was double stitch.
I take it
However,
back.
it was a real nice vintage fade. It's obviously a vintage shirt, and this absolute animal of a gent was the guy who was the husband of the lady who sold it to me, and he had some crazy Star Wars stuff. I'm not into Star Wars. I'm believe it or not, I'm going to say this out loud. I was a little young for Star Wars originally.
Really? No, you weren't.
Yes, I was. My brother was into it. I
Well,
wasn't
the
into it.
original Star Wars, but then it had really when it had a resurgence with
it's
like
had
the
a
Last
resurgence
Jedi and
1,000
stuff.
times over.
Yeah, but
I
when
had no
like
interest.
Ewan McGregor was doing it and stuff, then that wasn't before your time.
That's
just to
episode 1. I
clarify.
wasn't into that though either. Anyway, the point I'm making was he had some really cool stuff.
Talking of really cool stuff, this person also had some cool stuff, and we're keeping on the theme. This is a Stargate, a Lock the Universe t-shirt.
SG1, what a show.
Also vintage.
On a Jersey's tag.
This one actually sold in one of our Poshmark live auctions.
It did indeed. See?
You can get stills from us.
And from everyone else doing anyone doing lives, honestly, there have been some things which have gone for crazy prices, good and bad. Like I'm saying, they've gone for
We
hundreds,
start
they've
our
gone for
auctions
pennies.
at £5, which is the lowest start price you can do. And people are catching some stills on our live shows. So if you're interested in catching some stills, then come over there. However, what was I going to say? This t-shirt goes for about 65-70.
Yep.
On the resale market. I think we sold it for about 35,
I want to say
40.
30, 35, 40, yeah, around about there, between 30 and 40, which once again is half price of resale. So even
You
if you're
can
gonna
either consider us the middleman.
Yep.
We source and find for you, and then you get great deals.
Yep.
Or you can just buy for good money from us and have a
enjoy
nice time.
that yourself.
Yeah.
Or I tell you could do a bit of both. You could buy it, wear it for a little bit, and then sell it on and make some money still.
We also sold one of our Pokemon t-shirts on the live auction and our Michael Jackson vintage 1990s t-shirt.
We did
So there
indeed.
are definitely deals to be had over on Poshmark Live. It's very similar for anyone who cares. It's very similar to Whatnot. So it's just live auctions and you can get bargains, absolute designer bargains,
Obviously,
luxury bargains.
They've only been in this country, Whatnot doesn't do clothes as yet, and Poshmark do.
Yes, wonderful, isn't it? Do you
So
know
much
that
fun.
Whatnot was originally started as a Funko selling auction site?
Interesting.
I know, I've just got all the facts.
All the
of the facts.
The other thing I was going to say quickly as well is if you're not a part of Poshmark, that's totally cool. However, if you just want to watch the lives, which like we've been watching live, we've been actually bidding on loads of stuff too. But if you actually want to watch the lives, you have to download the app and have an account. You don't have to have any product on. You don't have to do anything like that. But there you go. Anyway, if you are going to use a code, use the Luxury Pickers or Luxury Pickers, I think it is.
Luxury Pickers in capital letters, and you get £5 credit to spend on one of the shows.
You might even buy
wish.
something in an auction. I saw this from afar, and I knew this silhouette. It was a Mulberry briefcase. When I was actually working for Mulberry, we sold these in store, and they were £895
Crazy.
of the King's English. At the time, it would have been the Queen's, actually.
This is a staff set purchase, which we identified very quickly, and we've actually made some B-roll to show you how to identify a staff purchase.
I'll give you credit. I think it's more than B-roll. Give yourself a little bit more credit there. An in-depth look at this bag.
Yes, so it's interesting to see. We looked over the bag to see if there was any condition issues, etc., so on and so forth. I do believe with this one it's missing the key, which isn't so much of an issue. I had some light marking, but there are things you can do to recondition leather, very similar to cleaning shoes or cleaning leather trainers, but obviously not as abrasive. This is a luxury item. So we're going to swap over to the studio lights and give you some more info. So this is the Mulberry briefcase we found in the video, and I just wanted to give you a close-up of some different features of the bag itself and just talk about Mulberry in general. So this briefcase is in a cross-boarded leather, which means it has a sort of coating of a plastic-like substance to it. Now, companies use this often. Prada use it and they call it Stefano leather. Mulberry call it cross-boarded leather, or you sometimes hear cross-hatch leather. And there's actually a really great man who makes TikToks. I don't know if he does YouTube. He does TikToks where he takes apart luxury bags and he shows you how they're built and how they're made up. And that's a great thing to watch if you're more interested in the construction of bags and what exactly your selling is. But it will just mean there's a very light plastic type material applies to the leather, and then the grain is embossed into the leather itself. Now this does a few things. It increases durability of the bag. It doesn't make it scratch proof, but it makes it more resistant to scratches, whereas a softer leather like a lamb nappa or a calf leather or just a natural leather will be very prone to marking, signs of wear, even natural signs of wear, or signs of not use, but like a natural leather, for example, you can get this thing called scarring, where you'll see marks in the leather. A lot of people like it. It gives it that natural feel, that sort of more organic feel, but you won't get that with this kind of leather. It's very uniform, and it pretty much looks the same throughout the bag. So that's the first thing to note with this. So it would be a crossbody, crosshatch type of leather, and you can see it keeps its shape very well. Obviously it's reinforced within the construction of the bag. However, a softer leather that is prone to soften in or almost be a more relaxed feel wouldn't be the best option for a structured briefcase of this nature, if that makes sense. Has gunmetal hardware. Mulberry, when it comes to hardware of their bags, tended to lean towards putting gunmetal on a more masculine silhouette or a more masculine bag. However, they did do special editions in the women's wear section with the gunmetal hardware. They tended to do silver hardware on cool toned colours and the soft gold on the warm tone colours, with exceptions for seasonal colours, special editions, etc., so on and so forth. With the more cool colour like oak and tan leather, they used an antique brass, but they also used antique brass for a long period of Mulberry's history, just because it was what was in vogue at the time, if that makes sense. So this is a late 2000s version of Mulberry's logo, and I will zoom in up close. They've changed it many times throughout the years, but the use of the tree in the late 2000s, 2010 onwards was very prominent, and also this block capsuling of the Mulberry logo. Now they've gone back to the original 1973 version of the logo in. They did lose the tree for a bit, but it has come back due to popular demand. This is a push lock clasp, which would have come with a key. It hasn't got its original key, but that's not too much of an issue, because to be honest, do you lock your bag? I mean, some people will want to lock their bags. They can order a replacement key from Mulberry. However, I don't feel, and it doesn't normally affect the return on the bag itself. Now, I wanted to talk about the edging of this bag, because if you notice, we might have talked about it in the video, but it had a condition issue. So this is what we would call piping. It's where the edge of the raw leather is finished with a plasticky, rubbery paint, and they layer it on top of each other. It's on a spinning wheel, and they run the edge of the leather along it, so it builds up this sort of rounded, painted edge, but it almost feels rubbery. Now, if this wears, it can peel or come off, and then if it peels and come off, you see the edge of the bag, and it's more prone to damage the actual leather itself, which you don't want. Now, this one has some wear here. The piping has come off in the corner there, and you can see the edge of the leather components coming through. Mulberry do fix this, and they will repipe your bag, and like any luxury bag, most fashion houses will have a repair system. Mulberry have a repair system, but to have it repiped, you'd have to have the whole bag repiped, which is one of the more costly repairs from Mulberry themselves. When repairing luxury handbags, this is definitely personal preference, because I know there is some really good luxury handbag restoration companies, but I always try and take the bag back to where it was constructed. It's sort of like getting a service or an MOT on your car. If you have a luxury car and you have an Aston Martin, for example, then you probably would want to go and get the service and the MOT done at Aston Martin to keep the logbook pure, if you will. But you can definitely go to third parties, and it probably will be cheaper. But Mulberry does offer piping, they offer new locks, all different kinds of components, the added extras. This one you can see has a slip pocket on the back, Hands up anyone who ever uses the slip pockets on your bags. It also has another slip pocket in the slip pocket. You can see from the different angles in the light, I've got 2 studio lights on, which brings up what I would call natural signs of wear. So just like a minor bit of scuffing, etc., so on and so forth. But if I come back and lean out of the light, you can see that it doesn't really affect the overall look of the bag. And it is in very good condition. On the inside, I also wanted to explain another thing for you. So I'll put the camera down and we'll look inside. Now, I'm showing you this with one hand, so do beg my pardon. But inside the bag, you will find the leather patch and the fob. The fob will have a serial number on the back. However, depending on when the bag was made and what era the bag was made and what collection the bag was made, depends on the serial number and whether it has one or not. If your fob doesn't have a serial number, that does not define its authenticity, because a lot of them didn't have fob numbers during a certain period of time. However, you'll find that this is one of the most common patches and fob combinations that is reproduced and copied, because it was mainly, is what I would say was the height of the Mulberry handbag in the last sort of 20 years. So you'll find that this is the most copied style of inner logo and fob, if that makes sense. It's something they use in the Bayswater, the Lilies, which are both popular styles of bags. You'll see on this one that the silver matches the hardware colour of the gold leaf that's embossed onto the leather. And this will vary from bag to bag, so I can't say that this is what's going to be on your bag if you find one in the wild, because they also did them on square patches of leather. They've also done ones without it. And in newer times, they've swapped just straight to the gold leaf, which is embossed into the edge of the bag. So this won't even be on newer styles. However, you can see from ours, and what I really wanted to show you, and I hope it shows up, is there is a slash through this oval circle, and it makes a cross shape, so it's just there where my thumb is, but I don't know if you can see it, and this is where it's been cut with a penknife or a Stanley knife upon purchase. And what this means is that it was bought by a staff member in a staff sale, where these staff sales actually don't exist anymore, I've been told to believe, but they were in place when we were also working for Mulberry. And it basically is at the end of the year, or twice a year they did at one point, there'd be a staff sale of bags that were either returned or were taken off the shop floor for whatever reasons, samples, ones used in shop display. There's various reasons, and when they were purchased, they'd be purchased for a sum of money, and upon purchase they would be slashed with the X. Now this means that this bag can't be repaired by Mulberry. So whatever issue it has, or if it had an issue, some didn't have issues, some were just missing straps or whatever, then that can't be repaired by Mulberry at all. So if you know what the fault is, then it helps. But for example, because the piping has gone on this bag, the piping couldn't be repaired at Mulberry in their repair centre, as I was just saying. So you would have to, in this case, if you wanted that bit of the bag repaired, have to go to a third party restoration centre. This should, you can just see there, I'm trying to do it with one hand, you can see the serial number on the back. The numbers and the style of numbers change depending on the year, depending on the era, so I won't talk about that at the moment, but most of the time it will have a serial number on the back, and customers like to see this when purchasing their bag, because it gives them confidence in authenticity, but it isn't a be-all and end-all indication of authenticity. So basically, I don't know if this bag was purchased in a staff sale because of the piping, but regardless, we wouldn't be able to get it repaired from Mulberry because of the piping. And because it is a staff purchase bag. Now, when you're selling staff purchase bags from Mulberry, I always declare it because it's important, and there are a lot of hardcore Mulberry collectors out there, to declare that it is a staff purchase and has the X on the inner fob when selling the bag, and therefore it can't be repaired by Mulberry at any of their repair centres, or their repair centre, I think there's only one. So that's a really interesting thing to note. Now, some people and collectors are aware of this and aware of this staff purchase system, and maybe won't purchase the bag at all because of it. However, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the bag, and as long as you can sort of identify if there is an issue and declare it in the listing, then it doesn't really affect the value greatly either. So we'll be listing this briefcase for about 225 to 250, which is the going amount for the bag, and we will be declaring that it is a previous staff purchase and it does have some issue into the corners. This bag would have retailed for $895, which we probably already mentioned, so that's a good reduction off of full price, with very little wrong with it apart from what I've indicated. So I hope that's actually remotely interesting. I know when we talk in depth about different things and different brands, sometimes it can be a snooze fest if you're not really into the luxury market or reselling Mulberry, but maybe it has been interesting, so do let us know in the comments. But that is our little Mulberry briefcase. Just for context, in case anyone doesn't know, we live in Somerset, so we see a lot of staff purchases from Mulberry, and we previously worked for the company. This is why we have sort of a deeper knowledge of the staff purchase realm. We do have more that we can say about it, but to keep it short and sweet on this particular product, I think that will do for now. But if you have any questions about the briefcase, then do let us know in the comments down below. We're trying to add in some more informational features,
details
to our
as well,
videos,
I guess,
so you can have an in-depth look and like what to look out for while you're hunting in the wild. So I hope you enjoy.
Yep. I would actually say as well, we're gonna, like you say, not going to do this necessarily every video. If there is something we can talk about and give more in-depth features and benefits and whatever else, whether you're a reseller or just someone into luxury, I think it's interesting.
And if you see any items that you would like us to talk about in depth that we do purchase at these events,
shout in the comments.
Then you shout in the comments and we'll do a separate little video for you.
Just for you. Bye.